All right, looks like we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Austin Petersen here, former presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. Thanks so much for tuning in to my live election night coverage. We're going to be breaking down the vote analysis as they come in, talking a little bit about politics, gabbing, jabbing, sitting back, maxing and relaxing, talking about the results of the election, and we'll also be talking about what it means for libertarians. As you know, I sought the nomination for the Libertarian Party for President of the United States this year, taking second place to Governor Gary Johnson of New Mexico. And it's been an interesting season, let me just say. If some of you don't know, I just released two stories. I had one that dropped last night about one thing that people needed to know and a little bit of advice that I was offering to people before they hit the polls. And then the one that I dropped tonight, which was the final word that I had on the Libertarian Party's presidential campaign. It's nice to see you guys all. I'm monitoring you all in the live chat, just so you know. So before we talk about the politics tonight, let's talk about how the votes are shaken out. I'm going to pop you over to my display so you guys can see what we've got going on over here. At the moment, early returns right now are showing Trump with a slight lead. Of course, the states that have closed are showing that these are the heavily red states. These are the ones that were expected to go for Trump. The really key state right here, the one that is the really important one, is Florida, which right now shows Donald Trump with a very slight lead, 47% to 49%. This is a must-win state for either one of these candidates if they want to be considered the having a lock on the presidency. You win Florida, and it's one of those questions where it's most likely assured that you're going to become the next president of the United States. Of course, we expect that heavily Democratic states like California will go to Clinton, states like Oregon and Washington likely to go blue as well. The Midwestern states, for the most part, have been closing. But let's take a look here. You can see Kansas, for example. Obviously, Kansas is a very red state, but they've only got 2.9% reporting. And even though South Dakota is a very red state, it's another state where they just are showing that zero precincts reporting. Of course, heavily Democratic New York, 76%. The People's Socialist Republic of New York, 76%. Hillary Clinton, 19.19% for Donald Trump. Well, that is Donald Trump's home state as well, a fellow New Yorker. But Hillary Clinton was a senator in New York as well, so she's got a lot of sway there. In Vermont, Hillary Clinton projected to win 56 to 35 right now. Only 32% of these precincts are reporting, and so it is way too early to call this race just yet. However, there's an election map that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm not exactly sure how accurate this is going to be, but I do want to keep an eye on this. If you guys can, pull up libertyviral.com if you're on a desktop. If you're on a browser, then don't worry about it. Just stay here with me. But I want to show you guys this website that was created by my buddy Boomer Shannon out in California. And it's been kind of up and down this night. Basically what it is that this is showing how Governor Gary Johnson is performing. Now, again, I do not know exactly how accurate these results are right now, but you can find the link to this for Governor Gary Johnson's results on the libertyviral.com. And this is basically showing us what Johnson's percentages are across the country. Now, a lot of these numbers you can see over here, the poll percent number, again, these are the numbers that are really important to us. Alaska showing 9.1%, very good. 4.1% in Alabama, 4.9, 5, 4, 7.3, 5.4, and that what we're trying to get tonight is that magic 5%. Now, this information is being culled from Politico, and this is again created by some libertarians out in California. We don't know exactly how accurate this map is. We just know that this is what the attempt is that they're trying to track exactly what Governor Gary Johnson's reports are. So we'll be checking in on this at night during the evening as it goes by, just to see how everything is going. And so let's bring it back. Let's talk a little bit. If you guys have questions about what it is that you'd like to talk about, then feel free to drop them in the live stream down at the very bottom, and I will be more than glad to answer your questions during this live stream and to help all of you get a better understanding for what it is that we're working with here. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the politics of the situation. Let's talk about what it is that we're really fighting for tonight. Of course, we all wanted to see the Libertarian Party across the country do well. Many of the libertarians were disappointed with the Johnson campaign, with the stumbles, the what is Aleppo. You're going to see something pop up on your screen real quick, but I'll go ahead and just fix that for you real quick. There we go. I just wanted to make sure we have a nice picture in that little monitor there. Yeah, this is what happens when you're the producer, writer, director, and the star of your own show. You got to do this stuff on your own and on the fly sometimes. So there you go. So we've got a nice little picture in there in my little fake TV. Because if you didn't know, this is actually just a green screen. Can't you tell? Look, actually I can make myself disappear. Boom. Now you see me. Now you don't, huh? This is fun stuff. Anyways, so I'm hoping to make your election night a little less dismal, a little more fun, and I'll be waiting until after this live stream is over before I crack open my case of wine that I bought. Cheers, Teresa. But right now I'm going to stay a little sober for y'all because I want to make sure that I give you a nice, clean analysis. So anyways, I wanted to read to you a story that I wrote tonight and to discuss my feelings about this election. Now I've held my tongue for almost the entire election process, just because I didn't want to be accused of trying to sabotage the Johnson ticket, despite the fact that I saw the foibles, the gaffes, despite all of the rudeness of the Johnson campaign towards me, despite everything that I had done to try and support their campaign. So I wrote a story tonight that has now gone viral. I'll share it in the YouTube chat for you all to have a read if you haven't done it yet, but I will read it to you out loud as well. But here's the story, and I'm going to read this to you all. And again, if you'd like to follow along, I just dropped the URL in there. So I'll just go ahead and start. I despise Gary Johnson, but here's why I voted for him. No one has more cause to dislike Gary Johnson than myself. After this man tossed my gift pistol in the trash, this is the actual pistol, by the way, when I refused to endorse his VP pick, Bill Weld, which was in retrospect a smart decision, it took all the fortitude I possessed not to ignite a full-blown civil war against the ticket. Rebellion is in my nature, after all, but when handed my first opportunity to do righteous violence with an army behind my back, I chose peace. As the tears welled up in the eyes of my volunteers when they handed me back my gun, I lost my place here, sorry, this is emotional. They pulled this from the trash. This is a replica of George Washington's pistol. I was faced with a critical decision. My people were looking at me for direction. Many of them young, many of them barely even voting age, some of them even younger, because delegates at the National Convention can actually be a little bit under voting age. Their faces stoic but downtrodden, their first political defeat still fresh. I bit back my own hot tears and told everyone to remain calm. We didn't know the story yet about the gun. But the story would come out sooner than I expected, and the news was actually worse than I imagined. After suffering a year of brutal attacks on my character, my motives for running, and accusations that I was nothing more than an overgrown child, the truth was revealed. Johnson was the man-child, a spoiled, entitled brat, prone to public fits, which he admitted in the Washington Post were not out of his character. As a matter of fact, he stated that the only thing that was out of character was that he usually throws these kinds of temper tantrums in private, not in public, as if that makes it better. I guess it would be slightly better. Desperate to salvage fading political capital due to Johnson's behavior, the campaign mistakenly approached my surrogates, not me, begging to buy back the pistol. At first for $50, then $150, then $1,500. And then, when we wouldn't sell it back to them, they told us to name our price. But like I said in my concession speech, I cannot be bought, and I cannot be bullied. In the fall of 2015, I entered the race for the White House out of sheer desperation and despair. Having watched the fall of Libertarian Republican Rand Paul, I realized that if he dropped out of the race in 2016, we would be left with no pro-life, pro-liberty, and pro-Constitution candidate, other than perhaps Ted Cruz being the closest to that. That wasn't good enough for me, and I filed to run. I've known Gary for years. In fact, I was one of the first television producers ever to book him on Fox. In 2010, Johnson was seeking the nomination of the Republican Party for president, and I was glad to see it. Despite being a strong Ron Paul supporter, I saw Johnson's run as a positive, that there would be more liberty-oriented voices in the debates. Sadly, Johnson faded early in the Republican primary, and afterwards sought the Libertarian Party's nomination, winning handily. And I was happy. I knew Paul's chances of winning the Republican nomination were slim, so having Johnson as a fallback was a great opportunity. I grew fond of Gary. I booked him frequently on TV in 2011 and 2012. I was grateful to him for running, and I wanted to ensure that he was heard, taking every chance I could to get his opinions on policy to broadcast to the American people 5 nights a week on the Fox Business Network. Sadly, the governor lost, but I never regretted supporting him, and I hoped that he would return. I learned a lot about him in those interim years and became keenly aware of his strengths and weaknesses as a candidate. Despite serious policy chops and experience, Johnson struggled to convey his message successfully in the format of nightly cable television news. If he decided to run again, he did need serious help, someone who could coach him on how to handle the media. He needed someone who knew him and his positions enough to help him craft a solid message for the American people. I even thought for a short time that that could be me. But that was not to be the case. 3 years later, and so much had changed. In October of 2015, Johnson had still not declared yet. Some were speculating that he might not even run. I heard rumors that Johnson might, but if he did, he'd be bringing back the same campaign team in leadership roles that led him to failure last time. I knew even if he did run, that wouldn't change. He'd make the same mistakes, or even worse. I would not sit idly by and let that happen. Knowing I would turn 35 and be eligible, I filed with the FEC. And I understood that this was going to be an uphill battle, and that Johnson was popular in the Libertarian Party. But I also believed, wrongly, that even if I lost, I could make him a better candidate. I wanted to keep him on his toes, but more importantly, I wanted to prove to the LP that they could run successful grassroots campaigns on limited budgets that make big splashes. And boy, did I ever splash. My hometown newspaper, the Kansas City Star, reported that I likely ran the campaign of the future. Using technology, I was able to raise enough money to be competitive, even outraising my celebrity opponent, cybersecurity pioneer John McAfee, by a large margin. I was endorsed by Mary Madeline, Eric Erickson, and was in striking distance of receiving the coveted Glenn Beck nod. The front page of the National Review even read, Austin Petersen for president. It all seemed like such a dream. But these dreams would not be without nightmares. When I was disinvited from a debate in Colorado, the outrage on my supporters for my behalf caused them to fill my coffers. I promised them that if they funded me, I would drive with my staff immediately from Springfield, Illinois to Colorado Springs, all 18 hours, only stopping in Kansas City to shower at 3 a.m. My brave skeleton crew slept on friends' couches, in dirty roach motels, and sacrificed their time and energy for cause they believed in. We spent hours doing fundraising calls, sometimes at $5 a pop, but we did it. The money poured in, and across the country we went, confronting Johnson in debate after debate over his ignorance over the definition of a right. And I took second place amongst a hostile crowd who hadn't invited me to their debate because of my heresy on libertarian orthodoxy. And Johnson pathetically pulled a San Dimas High School football rules at the end of the event, screaming, "You legalized weed! I love you! You rock, Colorado!" in order to elicit applause. It was the first time I ever felt embarrassed to be on stage with the man. The primary season wore on as the top tier emerged, and we competed in nationally televised debates. My embarrassment only deepened. From having to deal with a joke candidate like Shauna Sterling in Florida to being asked if I wanted to drop acid by McAfee. No offense, I love McAfee, but it's still embarrassing. A naked dancing guy at our convention, which wasn't the worst thing that happened there, by the way. And after the primary, dealing with the backlash of what is Aleppo. I can truly say that the Libertarian Party has blown a chance that it may never have again in my lifetime. And then there's Bill Weld. After the primary, and in the midst of Johnson's numerous gaffes, I began to have a grudging respect for Weld. His wit and speaking ability were clearly a benefit to Johnson's awkward style. Weld was an intellectual. Everything he does with care and deliberation. A more thorough inspection of his record as governor caused me to praise him publicly. Knowing that this man does nothing by accident, my jaw dropped when he was asked by Rachel Maddow if voters in swing states should vote for Hillary Clinton to stop Trump. "I'm here vouching for Clinton," he said. During the primary season, I produced a lighthearted live stream, wearing a pirate costume as a way to entertain and help my supporters understand my foreign policy planks. During the show, I promised that if Captain Leif Bieberson were beaten in the primary, that whoever won the nomination would receive my support. Flintlock in hand, I offered my beloved token to the eventual winner as a gesture of gentlemanly respect, a throwback to the days when men showed honor and class in defeat and in victory. The convention would be held on Memorial Day, and what better way to show respect to our nation's first veteran president, George Washington. Despite the lies of the Johnson campaign that the gun was meant to slight Weld due to his stance on the Second Amendment, the offer of my pistol was given before Weld emerged. It was in no way meant to be an insult. The Johnson campaign even sent an emissary to leave a note in my hospitality suite suggesting that the gun was stolen, not trashed. I found the note in the morning and kept it in case there was ever any doubt. With tears streaming down my face in front of thousands, I conceded to Governor Johnson my defeat. Weld would later be nominated. I returned to Kansas City with the wound still stinging, having left my blood on the floor in Orlando. Despite the personal affronts to me, I had high hopes for the ticket. I even opened a super PAC, spending time and money producing a commercial for the campaign in order to be a help. One gaffe and misstep after another would see my hope diminishing as Johnson's poll numbers declined. Hope to make the debates faded. And even the hope that the party might reach 5% nationally began to be in doubt. Accusations from the Johnson camp that I wasn't supporting the ticket enough due to my honest criticisms of the handling of the campaign began to roll in. Apparently, I was to blame for the failures to advance our cause, according to some. The ticket floundered, and my people who were already sour on Johnson began to quail. Some split to Darrell Castle, others to Evan McMullen. Still many others hung on out of loyalty to my promise and the hope that the party would grow. Voting for Johnson could mean ballot access in many states, but libertarians don't like being told what to do. And despite my attempt to shore up support for the Johnson-Weld ticket, many of them did not listen. Like true libertarians, they do what they want. And I don't blame them. After the failings of the Johnson campaign, my stock began to rise. Letters from delegates who regretted their vote were a small consolation, but they did help ego, I'll admit. Soon I would inadvertently be embarking on a national and international speaking tour. Colleges began scrambling to book me for keynote speeches. My hopes began to be buoyed by the eager faces of so many young people who come out and they meet me at these events, and they ask me invariably if I'm going to run in 2020. I'll even be attending the Friedman Conference in Sydney, Australia next year. I couldn't be happier for my own future, but I still worry about it, especially considering the likelihood of our new president being either a criminal or a creep. One of these future events I would be invited to speak to next year is the Libertarian Party of Colorado's convention. What a treat! After the initial hostility towards my campaign, it appears that I have earned their respect. Thank you, Colorado. That in itself seems to be a victory. There is no truer friend than a former enemy. And yet the other day, Governor Johnson was invited to speak at that same event, but reportedly turned it down. Why did he turn it down? Because I was scheduled to speak at the same event. On May 30th, 2016, I pledged to Governor Johnson my respect, my support, and my gun. Johnson tossed the gun in the trash along with my respect. And my support would waver, but never shift. I would continue to support the ticket because my word means something. I voted for Governor Gary Johnson today under severe protest and with admittedly many personal qualms. Why did I vote for him, even if I personally despise him? I voted for Johnson because the future of the Libertarian Party is more important than my ego. In 4 years, no one will care about my flintlock other than my most committed supporters. But if the party receives 5% of the vote and I can help that happen, then I would be foolish not to. Whoever the 2020 nominee is should have the option to decide if they want to take the federal matching funds. And we need this milestone to show progress. Governor Johnson, despite his personal faults, also represents the closest in ideology to my beliefs than any of the other candidates on the ballot. And I checked that with I Side With. Neither Evan McMullin nor Darrell Castle came as close as Governor Johnson for my ideological beliefs. Because of that, and because I know Johnson cannot win and will never be the president, I feel safer casting my vote for him. Another thing I've learned from all this mess is that sometimes leaders have to take one for the team. That means that you will be required to sacrifice in order to protect your troops. During my campaign and after, I inspired people to run for office as libertarians. Many of my former staff went to work for Gary at my encouragement. Campaigns are only temporary after all, and the experience they would get would be useful to them and for the future of the liberty movement. If I had abandoned the LP ticket, many of these people might have followed, and so my example was important to protect them from the backlash they might have received if they followed me in protesting his candidacy. I sympathize with my colleagues John McAfee, Darrell Perry, and others who did not support Johnson, but I could not let my people down. Too many were counting on me. This was the single most difficult vote I've ever had to make in my life, but I do believe it's one I can live with. My former staffers and supporters are the best people on Johnson's team, no question. But now the campaign is over, and it's time to look ahead. You are the past, Governor Johnson. I didn't vote for you. I voted for the future, for my party, and for my country. Now I want to ask you a favor. Go skiing, smoke a bowl, light one up, and be happy. You've earned it, Gary. Get as high as you possibly can so that the thought of what is Aleppo is washed from your memory. Go climb mountains, Gary, and never look back. The Freedom Ninjas will take it from here. So, yeah, now you know how I feel about that stuff. And, you know, it's not sour grapes because the entire time that this was happening, I was biting my teeth and I was doing everything I could to not say all of these slights, not say what was really going on because I did not want to be accused of not supporting the ticket. But I did. I supported the ticket. I spent money, started a super PAC, went out in the streets, campaigned, spoke at events, and you know, I was told that, for example, last week, Bill Weld was here in Kansas City, and my own people who were friends of mine said, we should have you speak, we should have you introduce Bill Weld, and I was going to be honored to be able to do that. And then I heard from the top down that that would never happen. So I have suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortunes. And I have bit my tongue, and I've been a good soldier. And I've done it for the party and for this country, because I believed it was the right thing to do. Because despite my personal disagreements with Johnson and Weld, from a political perspective, from a policy perspective, he is miles above Clinton and Trump. So I felt better supporting him than the main two. So, now that we've gotten that heavy stuff out of the way, let's take a look at the electoral map and see how we're doing here. Whoop. Get rid of that. There we are. All right, let's see how we're doing. Right now, Trump's still maintaining a lead, 137 delegates to Clinton's 104 delegates. Right now, it looks as if they are this is the AP showing 24% of precincts in New Mexico reporting with Hillary Clinton in the lead. This has been a very solidly Democratic state for quite some time. So right now it's showing a sizable lead, 121,000 to Donald Trump. There are 5 electoral votes in New Mexico that are up for grabs. Colorado right now, 48% Clinton to Trump. 46% to 43, I believe, right there. Looks like Wyoming is, they're showing it as red, but it still has not come in yet. Kansas, only 7% of precincts reporting. My home state of Missouri is showing only 3.15% of precincts reporting. Looks like these states, let's see, South Carolina, always a really solid Republican state. Donald Trump winning 56.7% to 37%. Let's take a look at Florida, 95% of precincts in. Donald Trump with a very slight lead. This is really down to the wire. And seriously, this is the state that could decide who the next president of the United States will be. If Donald Trump, it looks too close to call. Let's see, right there, 4.5 million votes to 4.3 million votes, 29 electoral votes at stake. If Donald Trump wins Florida, there is a very good chance that Donald Trump will become the next president of the United States. Now, I'm going to go take a quick little break, but before I do, I want to show you guys something, and I'll leave you guys with the election coverage that I have playing. I'm going to pull up the live election coverage from NBC right now while I go grab another drink, refill my water glass, and I'll be right back. But before I do, I just want to show you guys, let you guys know, if you guys were wondering where to get my outfit that I was wearing today to the polls, a Make Taxation Theft hat today, you can get those at threadsofliberty.com, the AP collection. I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat so you guys can get some hats, some cool stuff. This is my shirt with my quote on it. I want to live in a world where gay married couples can protect their marijuana plants with fully automatic rifles. Hell yes, hell yes. So as you can see, I got the shirts right now. They're from American Apparel. They're really nice. I just dropped it in the live stream for you guys if you want to see. This is it's just really soft, really high quality. And of course, here is my snapback cap. Make taxation theft again. And everybody loved it at the polls. This is really cool. This is a true story. So I was at the poll today and I was sitting down marking my ballots. And one of the election watchers came over because he saw my hat. And he goes, "Excuse me, sir, but your hat." And then he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, sorry, no problem, no problem." And then he realized what it said. It wasn't a Trump hat. It said "Make taxation theft again." And so as I was walking away, as I was walking out, when I finished my ballot, he's like, "Can I shake your hand, sir?" I was like, absolutely, he shook my hand. So I don't know if he recognized me or if he just thought my hat was cool. But anyway, so if you want to get one of these fun hats or this hat or shirt, you can even get the shirt that says "Make taxation theft again." Then make sure you do that. It's right over here at the threadsofliberty.com. That's the AP collection. And I'm going to go ahead and drop you guys over to the NBC coverage for right now. And I will be right back.
Conservative evangelical state because they're very uncomfortable with the cultural shifts in this country, not just the economy. Same-sex marriage, they're not happy about that. They're not happy about a lot of things that are going on. So they moved into the right, and Donald Trump came along and tapped into all of that by going down at the bottom level and working his way up. And the fact is that he has astonished everyone from the very beginning of all of this, including the last 48 hours. However this turns out tonight, it's going to be so much closer than anybody could have realized going in.
We ought to bring up what's going on with Dow futures right now. Yeah. I mean, that is just all of the stock markets around the world are cratering.
Margin calls.
Yes.
Everyone. I've had a note from somebody saying, they're beginning to sell off because it went the other way in the last 24 hours, by the way.
When everybody thought she was going to win.
Yeah.
That's right.
By the way, there's a popular website where people can put together their own electoral maps called 270 to Win. As far as I can tell, it's crashed right now. I think everyone in America is they're starting to.
How does this work? There's no Florida. What's the path?
Everybody wants to be Chuck Todd.
You got to talk to the master here.
Yes,
He can walk you through it. Let's get to Raheem Ellis on the ground in Raleigh, North Carolina. One of the many places that's going to keep us here late, Raheem.
Absolutely, Lester, and we're at a watch party for the incumbent Governor Pat McCrory, and with me is the Executive Director of North Carolina Republican Party, and I'm talking with Dallas Woodhouse. This is a toss-up state. How are you feeling? You got butterflies in your stomach?
I feel more nervous than a fish at a fish fry, so no question about that. However, we are in a great position at this point in the evening. Urban areas tend to come in sooner, and Mr. Trump looks like he's well on his way to win. The governor's race is going to be close, but the governor just went up. Normally, once you go up more than halfway across, you don't go back down. I will just tell you a couple of things. We were up, as Republicans, 100,000 votes over 2012 at the end of early voting. The Democrats were down 22,000.
That's the early voting, but now you got the voting today.
Well, right, but you have to remember that Republicans win Election Day. Democrats win early voting, and they did win early voting.
And that's what you did in 2012. In 2008, Barack Obama took this state. You think that Trump is going to take it? Quickly tell me.
I do believe that we're going to win Trump, Burr, and McCrory tonight. Close races, but a good night for Republicans.
They're cautiously optimistic here. Lester?
All right, Rahima, thanks very much. Let's go to Mariana Atencio right now. She is in Miami right now with a family who is nervously watching these results in Florida, where things are extraordinarily tight.
Lester, I'm here with several families. In fact, at this local watch party in Miami, many of the people you see behind me are undocumented. Some are voters, and as you can imagine, the mood here grew incredibly tense as these results started to tighten. Like many Latinos across the country, for many of the voters here, their main motivation was what they call the Trump effect or the Trump factor, mainly the Republican candidate's stance on immigration that crystallized the issues for so many Latinos. And as you have been covering throughout the night, we have seen a record turnout by Latinos in several battleground states. Here in Florida, a 75% increase in early voting by Latinos compared to 2012, but just the fact that Donald Trump appears to be leading in the polls now just brought back the issue of immigration to a gathering like this one you see behind me. It is not the only issue Latinos care about, but it is a very personal one, and you can see it right here. Many of these families holding hands, they even held a prayer not too long ago as they anxiously await these election results and fear, Lester, their families could be split up if Donald Trump, in fact, wins the presidency.
All right, Mariana, thanks very much. I think we are at a point in the evening. It's time to revisit. I'm going to walk with you because it's time to revisit this.
A what-if map here?
Yeah, the route to 270.
Yes, well...
And Florida was such a big part of it,
Let's, for now, and we're just going to do it. We're not projecting anything. We're just going to give it. Okay, so let's say Trump's leading there. He's leading in Georgia. He's leading in North Carolina. He's leading in Ohio. He's sitting at 248. Let's assume Arizona sits at 259 there. He's not leading in New Hampshire. We do have this Nebraska situation. I don't know why we haven't.
It's split.
It's split, but it should be. He's already gotten those that we are aware of. So let's do
Nevada's sitting out there.
Nevada is sitting out there. We're going to keep it. So that's what's sitting here. But this assumed Michigan. So what?
Okay, guys, I'm back. I found a website that is showing some of the third-party results, so I want to pull this up for you guys, and let's talk about what we've got here. Right now, I'm seeing that Governor Gary Johnson may likely have around 3% of the national vote. Governor Gary Johnson poll results. As you can see right here, Governor Gary Johnson showing around 3%. Let's take a look. This is what they're showing us counted. Let me pull this up for you all. Right now it's showing for the popular vote, Donald Trump performing around 49%, Hillary Clinton at 47%, Governor Gary Johnson at 3% nationally, according to Google's election results. This is updated every 30 seconds across many states. 3%, of course, would not get us the federal matching funds that we needed. 3% would be the largest national vote total that the Libertarian Party has ever received, so that would be a positive sign. But of course, with two deeply unpopular candidates at the top of their tickets, this is, well, frankly, if it stays at 3%, this is still very disappointing, simply because this is a historic opportunity for the Libertarian Party with these deeply, again, very deeply unpopular candidates. Their unfavorability ratings higher than any other candidates in history, and so that is not going to be acceptable for libertarians who wanted to see a 5% national vote total. Of course, we still have many states yet to come in, but let's take a look and see if we can find out where Gary's getting his votes. Where are these coming from? Let's see, Governor Gary Johnson vote totals, New Mexico. Let's see if he's doing well in New Mexico. That's his home state, one that we hope that he would win. Right now, it's showing Hillary Clinton 54% of the vote, Donald Trump at 36%, Gary Johnson at 8% in New Mexico. I believe he was polling at around 9 to 13% in New Mexico. Gary Johnson, Libertarian Party, 8% in New Mexico. So I'm going to go ahead and 32% reporting. I'm going to go ahead and call this state for Hillary Clinton and say Hillary Clinton will win New Mexico. This was really the only state that the Libertarian Party was hoping to win outright in order to throw the state to the Electoral College. Let's just check Evan McMullin votes in Utah, I believe. Utah is where he is slated to do well. Right now, it looks like we don't have results yet from Utah. So we don't know exactly. The results will be expected after 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's going to be about 15 minutes. We will find out just how well Evan McMullin will score. I project that Evan McMullin is the only one with the actual possibility to win a vote in the Electoral College this year. Right now, we still have many states to come in, so that things are not decided yet, but it is disappointing to see that it looks as if there's no chance for Governor Johnson to win an electoral vote in New Mexico. Very sad, very sad. Well, what can you say, ladies and gentlemen? We'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow about the future of the Liberty Movement, but let me just tell you something right now. I'm not done. Gary Johnson is done after tonight. They're done. This campaign is over. But the ideas, the fight for liberty continues. And you know what? I believe in the 4-year campaign. Okay? Not that this is not me declaring we're running. I see that there's some rumors right now over on Liberty Hangout. You got to get your story straight, guys. I'm not declaring for 2020. What I'm saying is that we need to gear up and take over the party so that even if I'm not the candidate in 2020, me and my people, we can all decide who the candidate will be. We'll make sure that they're a Libertarian candidate. Do you know why? Because the point of a Libertarian Party candidacy is not, if you can't win, the point is to spread Libertarian ideas. Okay, you should run to win, right? And if I had won, I would have run to win. But if you can't win, and it looks and you're doing this whole squishy, moderate centrist thing, change strategy. Go hardcore libertarian, because people don't join third parties out of lack of principle. They join third parties because of principle. They join major parties because they don't care about principle, or maybe they feel like a major party somewhat loosely represents their ideals. Maybe they're a low information voter. But for people who join third parties and do so willingly, they do it because of the principles of that party. And that's what you should be doing. If you're not going to run a campaign to win, and believe me, this was not a campaign to win. This was entirely a campaign to make a bunch of campaign workers rich. But you could have at least passed out some copies of Road to Serfdom, guys. Come on. So obviously I'm upset. I'm not bitter, because bitter would be the kind of thing that I stew on it. I mean, it's really hard when I get slapped across the face from the Johnson campaign, at least once a week, and complaints from my friends who work on the campaign about what a disorganized mess, nightmare it was. It was really hard to hold my tongue and not feel better, but I'm not. You know why? Because we're the future, Freedom Ninjas. It's people like you and me that are going to own it in the future. We're the ones who are going to change the future, right? Remember what I said in the debates? I said that on July 4th, 1776, Thomas Jefferson was 33 years old. Alexander Hamilton was 21 years old. James Madison was 25, and the Marquis de Lafayette was 18. Young people founded this country. We can do great things. They were always saying, oh, Austin, you're just a petulant child. You're all a bunch of children and all that stuff. Young people do great things all the time. As a matter of fact, most of the time, if you're not a millionaire by 30, you probably won't be one for the rest of your life. Because usually people tend to stagnate after they hit 30, right? But sometimes your greatest accomplishments, in many cases, your greatest accomplishments occur when you're young. And we've still got time, because we're still young and pretty, guys. So don't be too upset about tonight's election results. all right? I mean, it's okay to be sad about it because we're going to have a creep, or it looks like we're going to have Donald Trump, which, hey, by the way, silver lining, ladies and gentlemen, and as sad as this is in many ways, this will be good. Donald Trump will be good for the Libertarian Party because as soon as he becomes president and starts initiating executive overreach, all the conservatives who didn't support him in the primary campaign are now going to feel way more comfortable opposing him while he's president. It'll be harder in some respects. But people like Senator Ben Sasse, who stood up to him, who was so brave, won't it be great to see what happens when Donald Trump's president? Then we'll really test their character, right? Then we'll really know what they're made of. And the sad thing, and this is just the reality, ladies and gentlemen, is that if Donald Trump becomes president, which if we're looking at these trends, it's looking like there's a chance Donald Trump might become the next president of the United States. There will be no Libertarian Republican running for president in 2020. There will be no Justin Amash 2020. There will be no Thomas Massie 2020. There will be no Rand Paul 2020. And while that is bad for America, it would be good for the Libertarian Party because then we don't have to worry about bleeding support to the Republican Party. Because then we can run a real, true, principled candidate in the Libertarian Party in 2020. Yeah, and plus the claims of the Libertarians for Trump will be exposed. Yes, thank you. I'm watching the live stream. Who said that? Who said that? Hatelia Headbanger. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Isn't this exciting? I mean, think about that. Now, now all of the Libertarians for Trump are going to get to see all of his unconstitutional power grabs, and they'll be exposed. These people were always coattail hangers and hangers on to cults of personality. They wanted to create cults of personality for themselves. They only care about themselves. The Trump move was not one of principle; it was one of expediency. Donald Trump is as libertarian as Chuck Schumer. He's as libertarian as Harry Reid. Okay? If you can actually believe anything that comes out of his mouth, which you can't because he flip-flops in a matter of hours. Pro-life, pro-choice, pro-choice, pro-life. You know, punish the mother. No, punish the doctor, right? What does he believe? The war in Iraq was a mistake. Oh, but we should have bombed Libya, and I'll blow the hell out of North Korea. Oh, and all the Trump-supporting libertarians. Oh, we'll go to war with Hillary. How deluded. How deluded were you? We will have war under either president. Do you know why? Because the history of the United States is a history of war. I believe there's only been perhaps 3 decades of peace. Let's look that up. How many years has the United States been at war? Yeah, do your fact checking with me, guys. Right here. Let's take a look. America has been at war 93% of the time, 222 out of 239 years since 1776. Do you think Trump is going to change that? Do you think Trump is going to bring the troops home? Look at this. The warlike attitude of the U.S. had its birth in King Philip's War, which predated the country and set it on its current militaristic path. The United States has been at war almost continuously since 1776. In the past 236 years, we've been fighting some type of conflict for 214 years, or around 90% of the time. Now, just what do you think Donald Trump is going to change about that? Nothing. Do you know why? Because it will reduce his power. Because when Donald Trump, if he becomes the president of the United States, grasps the ring of power, he's a human. And he will wield the ring. But the ring will also wield him. Donald Trump is no Frodo. And he's certainly no Samwise Gamgee. He's not going to throw the ring in Mount Doom. Donald Trump will wear the ring and he will become a Dark Lord, just like Hillary Clinton would. The difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump is that Hillary's actually skilled in war. Is that Hillary has advocated for them, overseen them. She's the one who actually got Osama bin Laden. How many people has Donald Trump killed? Yes, this is sarcasm for the sake of hyperbole, folks. If you are one of those libertarians who doesn't have a sense of humor, you are watching the wrong channel, ladies and gentlemen, and I will never, ever apologize for having a sense of humor. I know libertarians, we tend to be mirthless. I got to watch my mouth these days. But we tend to be mirthless, right? Like, actually, if you compare this to blah, 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 lighten up. Get the stick up out of your butt, all right? This republic will endure. We've endured far worse presidents, and we'll have far worse in the future. FDR tried to pack the Supreme Court. Theodore Roosevelt thought that the Constitution was meant to expand the power of the president. He believed in unending authority. And don't get me started on Woodrow Wilson. All of them far more terrifying than Donald Trump. And then look what happens. If Donald Trump becomes president, he might control the House and Senate for a couple of years. But then, once he starts to have his executive overreach, there is a good chance that the Democrats will come in and swoop in and control it. And divided government is good. It just is. Divided government is good for libertarians. Say what you will about gridlock, but divided government has historically shown the minimal amount of growth. Historically, it's actually been better that you have a Democratic president with a Republican House and Senate, and that's where government has grown the least, in the slightest. And that's a Cato Institute study that you guys can check out. Actually, I can pull that up. Let's see. History of growth of government, Cato Institute. Let's see. Limited government, historical cause, the growth of federal government, trust, discrimination, Sorry, guys, this is what we do. Growth of government, Cato Institute, presidents, divided government. Here we go. Let's see. This is a case for divided government. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up for you guys so you can see, and I'll grab the URL and drop it in the live chat for you all as well. Take a look at this. There you go, guys. That's the Cato.org Institute, and I'll let you see it right here. We pull it up. This is a case for divided government by William Niskanen. Our federal government may work better, see that as less badly, when at least one chamber of Congress is controlled by a party other than the party of the president. The general reason for this is that the party has the opportunity to block the most divisive measures proposed by either party. Other conditions, of course, also affect political outcomes, but the type of evidence for this hypothesis is too important to ignore. Now take a look. The rate of growth of real inflation-adjusted federal spending is usually lower with divided government. Take a look here. Under Eisenhower, he had 8 years divided and united. The annual increase in government was 0.4%. With Kennedy and Johnson, they had a united government, and it grew by 4.8%. With Nixon and Ford, 8 years he spent in office, they were divided 2.5%. Carter, 4, united government, 3.7%. So you notice a trend here? Reagan, 8, divided, 3.3% growth. Bush, 4, 3.4%. Clinton, divided, 0.9%. So as you see this right now, historically it's been better with Democrats controlling the office when it's divided, right? Carter, let's see, his was united. Bush, divided, right here. So yeah, take a look at that. Pretty interesting article. And then there's another story called Would Divided Government Be Better? And this is another article that's really good on this topic, so I'll go ahead and drop that in the live stream for you all as well. So do you guys have any questions? If you do, feel free to drop them in. Otherwise, I might be getting ready to take another little break here in just a minute. I don't want to get too tired tonight. But let's take a look at before I do, let's go take a quick look at the vote total. Let's see how we're doing over here. And I'll throw in also a quick plug as well, too, before I head out. Let's take a look. Presidential vote totals. Yeah, you guys got a question? If Clinton and Kaine die after they win, but before they take office, does the DNC make a new nomination, or does Paul Ryan take the presidency since he's Speaker? That's actually a really good question, but I don't know, guys. Josh Proctor says, I came to this movement because of Ron Paul, but I'm much more in line with Austin Petersen. Thanks for being my voice, Broston Petersen. Yeah. Well, the question is, and then the next question is, favorite baseball team? Of course, the Kansas City Royals. And the next question is from Blazing Angel, who says, Austin, do you think Johnson is going to get 5%? It ain't looking good. Let's just go take a look and see how we're doing right now. Let me pull it back up. All right, so right now we're looking at 137 votes for Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton with 104. Remember, these western states have yet to close. Very important because these are many blue states out here. Florida, so very close. 4.4, Clinton tightening her lead. 4.4 million to Trump's 49%, 1% away. This is the state. This is the clincher. And this election is just too close to call here. So let's see. Presidential vote totals. Oop, spelled that one incorrect. Vote totals. Gary Johnson. Let's see how Gary is doing according to the AP. Right now, Governor Gary Johnson hovering around 3%, with 33% reporting across the United States. Depending on, let's see, it looks like they've got New Mexico. That's going to be one of his higher states. So I would say with 33% reporting, it's very likely that we will not see a 5% mark reached by the Libertarian Party. Quite a disappointment. Now let's see, there is another race. Joe Miller, Alaska. This is a Libertarian, he's running for Senate in Alaska. And let's see if we have any results yet for Mr. Joe Miller. This could be the real upset in the race, because if Joe Miller wins, he's running as a Libertarian, which I've heard that there's a chance he might, then that would be our first Libertarian senator in history. That would be pretty fantastic. Looks like the vote totals have not come in yet for Alaska. We will keep an eye on this right now. Republican U.S. Senator Lisa Murkowski, if she's up for re-election, and the race has drawn three foes: Democrat Ray Metcalf, Independent Margaret Stock, and Joe Miller, who upset her in the GOP primary, only to then lose the general and historic write-in campaign. This time, Miller is running as a Libertarian. So, Joe Miller he's a fairly traditional conservative, but he's running as a Libertarian. And honestly, I think it would be good for the party because it would show that a Libertarian can win a federal office. That would be our first big federal office holder. So I've got my fingers crossed on this race and hoping to win. But right now, if you're asking me, do I believe that Governor Johnson is going to get the 5%? Well, it's still way too close to call for the major races. And again, I'm looking at the vote tracker for Gary Johnson. Again, I don't know exactly how accurate it is, but it does seem to show a trend line of just under 5% for many of these states, if this is to be believed. All right, so real quick, just so you know, a plug, I started up my own collection of merchandise. This is a way for me to make money without having to have the ads on my website so heavy. Of course, if you're not a member, you can also subscribe to the libertarianrepublic.com. It's very easy. I'm getting ready to take a break, so if you like libertarianrepublic.com but you don't like the ads, let me just show you really quick how you can become a member. It's very simple. You go to the libertarianrepublic.com. Usually you're going to, of course, you'll get some pop-up ads and things like that, and the website's a little bit slow. But if you want to get a really smooth, fast experience and you want to help support good libertarian journalism, look guys, it's really, hey, there's me giving a speech last weekend. I was in Wisconsin talking about why Obamacare is socialism. Yeah, you see this, you guys, I know you guys hate those ads, but all you got to do over here is just click. You can purchase a membership right there. You can cancel at any time. It's so easy. $5 a month or $55 a year. You can have a subscription to the Libertarian Republic and help build my media empire. One of these days I want to be big, huge, and have a bunch of libertarian journalists. And again, you won't get these annoying ads, these we recommends, none of that stuff. Right here, $5 a month, $55 for a year. This is a super premium supporter. You don't get anything more with this, but we did get someone who just said they wanted to help support the Libertarian Republic, so they wanted to give $100 a month. You can do that as if you want to be a benefactor, but it's the same product. Essentially, no pop-ups, no ads. You get the libertarianrepublic.com with an ad-free experience. So yeah, so it's again really simple. Members log in right here. You can purchase your membership here. Again, if you don't like it, try it for a month, $5. You can cancel at any time right there. Very simple. Just cancel your subscription and you'll get one of the best libertarian news magazines in the entire country. Actually, let me show you guys. This is really exciting because what I really want to do is open a brick and mortar one day with my nonprofits and my for-profits and continue to grow the liberty movement. This is super exciting. Look at this. We're 8,447 in the United States. This has been our trend line of growth in the last year. It's just a lot of hard work. Good men like Keith Farrell and Josh Gukert, who have been working very steadily. People like Elias Atienza, people like Aya Katz, who have been making this website great again, and I sincerely appreciate them and all their support. Also, Micah Fleck, and of course, Liberty Laura over at Liberty Viral. She's doing a wonderful job over there as well, and don't want to miss out on Liberty Laura. Liberty Viral is your place to come and read about libertarian stories in a fun way. We're trying to, libertarians, they talk about, oh, Austin, they'll say, oh, we need to take over the culture. We need to take over the culture. That's always one of the big things, right? And then when somebody comes in and starts doing cultural stuff, they're all like, clickbait, blah, blah, blah. What do you think this is? This is the culture. This is how we have to take libertarian ideas to mainstream. Listen, somebody's got to do it, and nobody does it better than me. So help support libertarian journalism by subscribing to libertarianrepublic.com. Read libertyviral.com to support Liberty Laura. And of course, if you guys like my t-shirts, these are American Apparel, very high quality. I want to live in a world where gay married couples can protect their marijuana plants with fully automatic rifles. And that is my quote, by the way. A lot of people are confused because there was a Canadian politician by the name of Tim Moen who in 2008 said that, and he popularized the phrase. But then a lot of people were accusing me of stealing the quote from him, which I did not do. As a matter of fact, I think it was just a couple of months ago, Tim Moen came out and said that he got it from a meme. Well, guess who created the meme in 2008? I wasn't a politician then. I was just a volunteer coordinator for the Libertarian Party, just making libertarian memes and ideas. You got to turn off the phone before you do the live stream. Dad's calling me. Dad's probably calling. Hold on. You know what? Let's get Dad on the show. Dad.
Hey, okay, what's going on?
Not much. Hey, just so you know, I'm doing a live stream right now, and you're on the show. Okay, so don't say any bad words.
No. I was just calling to see how things are going and, talk to you about. I'm not really watching much of it. I'm kind of waiting till later on. I'm too nervous to watch too much.
You're too nervous to watch too much. Well, Dad, I know that I know you were pulling heavily for Trump because you didn't like Hillary and you didn't like Gary Johnson. But it does look right now that the Electoral College is showing 140 to 104. Can you guess who's in the lead?
Trump.
Trump's in the lead. Yes. Trump's in the lead, but here's the deal. Florida is the key state right now. It's looking like it's almost dead even. They're within 1% of each other, so we may have another recount in Florida like we did back with Gore and Bush.
Yeah, you just never know. It's so funny. I did turn over to Channel 4, and Shep said, small town America is making their voices heard.
Yep.
It's just like I told you about that, where I voted today. Little old church up there had hundreds and hundreds of people in line. I've 48 years in this town. I've never seen anything like it before, and that's going on all over the United States. So it just shows you, man, that people are fed up.
People are fed up, Dad. People are fed up.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks like Gary Johnson is not going to get the 5%, at least if the trends are continuing right now. Although it would be historic for the Libertarian Party, it looks like they're going to get around 3% of the vote total nationally. What do you think?
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they could have had a cool candidate, but that's what they got. They got what they wanted. So whatever. Well,
listen, Dad, I'm live on the show right now. I appreciate you calling in right now. It was kind of a fluke. So I didn't turn my phone off during the show, but it was kind of cool to have you call in. So thanks for calling in.
Okay, love you, bud.
Love you too. Bye. That's my dad. And my dad came to the national convention. He was there and he saw the drama. He was so upset and disappointed. And, frankly, he would, if Governor Gary Johnson was the stronger candidate, he could have gotten his support. Or if Johnson had treated me with respect at the nomination convention, he could have potentially gotten my father's support. But because of Johnson's behavior and because of his stonerific attitude, he lost small town America. I mean, my father is a good man. He didn't just do it because Johnson slighted me. He also did it because Johnson's numerous gaffes and his strange demeanor on television. So that's the reason why so many of these people went and supported Trump. And that may be why we have a President Trump. Of course, again, it is too close to call, as Clinton and Trump are locked in almost a dead heat in Florida. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys back over to the live election results going on. I'm going to take a little break, get some water so that I can stay hydrated during this whole thing, because this is just going to be a long and exhausting night. And of course, there may not be an outcome tonight. We don't know what's going to happen right now. But I'm going to be right back, guys. You all enjoy the show.
But so far he hasn't won anything that we didn't anticipate. But you, Chuck, you're punching the numbers in Florida. You think?
Look, there's just not enough. I just, maybe there's some extra vote that we don't know about. And again, I stress that happens. And I remember vividly in 2000 the 50,000 vote error that was discovered late. So, don't forget those things happen here. But you look, and there's trickles that are left. Almost every county is reported. What's out is there's only one county that's out that's more favorable to Trump. Polk has a little bit. But Volusia, which is Daytona, essentially, and that's basically a 50-50 county. There's a lot of Volusia out, but that's not enough for her to gain ground. It's Palm Beach, Miami, and Broward.
Right.
Is there enough vote out there left in those bottom three counties for her to close this gap? But I have to tell you, the gap grew again. She got it down to 111,000, and then it's back up to 130. So I don't see the path forward for her in Florida. So now, listen to this. Last time a Democrat won the White House without the state of Florida was Bill Clinton, 1992. So maybe she's got that karma going for her. I don't know. And the last time you lost Florida and Ohio and still won the White House was John Kennedy.
But her other paths carry her through some of these other states that are too close to call right now.
Yes, but we're looking at a situation here, I think, that it's Michigan. I really do. That at the end of the day, we're staring at Michigan. I go through this. Pennsylvania, she probably does eke it out. We'll see. She has to do that, but we're looking at Michigan being the big,
What is so fascinating
decider here.
is nobody was talking about Michigan until about 5 days ago.
Except Michael Moore. I'll give him that. He has been screaming about it,
right.
To his credit.
To his credit. It is his home state. We all like to talk about our home states. We look at Chuck with Florida, but I mean, Trump, they saw something going on in Michigan. They sent him there, and people were saying, what? And then the Clinton team added a stop. President Obama was there.
We put Michigan on the screen and see where we are.
Somebody who's done a lot of governor campaigns in both Florida and Michigan, there's one difference. Michigan has rural counties that are more Democratic in many places compared to Sunbelt and southern states.
They have been.
Yeah, they have been. Will Trump really turn that over? And will Detroit vote and Flint what it normally does, or will it be under enough that Trump's overage in some of these places will make it? And Trump is doing well in some of these smaller counties right now at the beginning, but there's a lot of Michigan still out. It's going to be tight.
What has been totally underestimated by those of us in the so-called press-establishment and the people who have been looking at this is the depth of the anger, the depth of the people saying, I want to change, I don't care if I have to pull
Hey guys,
down a grenade.
I'm still here, I'm watching by the way.
Country, whatever it takes, we want
Am I excited for Trump victory? Honestly, that'll be great, because he will continue the destruction of the Republican Party.
In general, and the biggest critique on the establishment, and I throw the media in here, as well as the two political parties, we've overlooked rural America
Somebody's
a
got
bit
to
too
stop
much.
clicking their
And I
pen
think in
on that
hindsight,
set.
I said, everybody's been talking about the changing demographics of America and the changing face of America. That's all true. But we've forgotten about rural America, and rural America is basically saying, hello, they are screaming at
I just want to let you know that what he just said right there is literally exactly what my father just said. If Trump wins, it will be because of the pissed off rural Americans who are sick and tired of the DC elites and establishment, and I will be more than happy to see Hillary Clinton lose. I only wish that they both could lose. And that was me, by the way, guys. I'm still here, just so you know.
This is where it was going to resonate. If it was going to make a difference, this is exactly where. So in some ways, ultimately, it's not surprising that now we're focused like a laser on this section of the country.
And building a bit of a new coalition with that economic populism. But will it have long enough legs? We'll see.
Yeah, well, we still have hours to go here. And by the way, if you have a restaurant that delivers breakfast, I'd call them right now.
Joining us now is conservative political commentator and host Glenn Beck, founder of The Blaze.
All
Glenn,
right,
nice to have
Glenn
you.
Beck.
Thanks for joining us.
Cool.
Very much.
Give us your take on what is happening here, because things are a lot tighter than many had imagined tonight.
Yeah, a lot tighter than I imagined as well. I think what Chuck just said was exactly right on the money. We have not listened to, I think Chuck said the heartland, but I don't think we've listened to each other at all. And I know I've been at fault on this. In the last couple of years, I've really tried to analyze myself and analyze what I've done and what I do. And we don't listen to each other, and we don't trust each other. And, the media, that includes me, that unfortunately, Tom, includes you. I can't believe it would, but it does. That 34% of Americans trust any of our voices. And that is because they view us as speaking down to them, pontificating, telling them, and not listening to them, declaring who they are. It's difficult for me to consider myself a conservative or to consider myself a Republican tonight. If this is what a conservative or a Republican is, then I'm not part of that. I don't want anything to do with that. But I understand why people are feeling this way when you have, 60%
Rand Paul,
of the
the next
people who
senator
voted for
from
Donald
Kentucky.
Trump don't
Congratulations
like
to
that
Rand
they're voting
Paul.
for Donald Trump, and 54% who are voting for Hillary Clinton aren't happy about voting for Hillary Clinton.
So at the end of this, are you going to have a lot of orphan voters, people that feel, like yourself, that don't feel they have a place?
I think the majority feel that way. Even those people who voted for either one of these, they're not happy with it. And so I think on both sides, the parties have to realize now, boy, we need to start reflecting the people and listening to the people, because the people are entering a time, as we're seeing tonight, beyond reason. They're not listening. When you get into so much fear or so much anger, the mind's mechanism is just to shut down reason.
I'm still here with you guys.
They're not listening to reason.
I'll be back in a few minutes. I just need to rest my
voice. We have
voice.
got to find our way to each other. My goal in the next year is to meet with the people I think I disagree with the most and not try to talk them into anything, not try to have an argument with them. I just want to listen. I want to be able to say,
good for you, Glenn.
Is this what you believe and why you believe it? And when they say yes, then we could even begin to have a conversation. But at least for me, that's a year away before I could have a conversation. We have to start listening to people.
Glenn
if
Beck.
we don't, we're in trouble.
Glenn Beck, good to have you on. Thanks so much for spending some time with us from Dallas there. We continue to monitor the close races still up for grabs. We're waiting more poll closings. Stay with us. Things remain razor thin right now. We've got more coverage of Decision Night in America next.
All right.
Decision Night in America.
Well, I'm going to try and stick with you guys as long as I can tonight. I can't promise that I can stay up all night tonight, because at some point I got to go take a break. When you've got like 4 anchors in a full production studio like they do on NBC tonight, they can all take breaks and do whatever they need to do. But I'm a one-man band here, ladies and gentlemen, and eventually I just run out of gas. So I'll stick around with you as much as I can. If you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat right now. I'd love to hear from you. You can tweet at me if you'd like on Twitter at AP4LP. That's AP, the number 4, LP. Let me go ahead and just pull that Twitter account up for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about, okay? Okay. I'm going to pull that up and push this up here. Do you foresee this election resulting in larger talks in favor of secession for a number of states? And what's the likelihood it might actually happen in your opinion? I would say that probably not, because if Donald Trump wins tonight, which is what it's looking like might happen just because of Florida, then I would say that more people, at least in the short term, are going to be looking at sticking around because they're going to see something in Donald Trump. I mean, he's not going to build a wall, just FYI. You know, the Congress has to do that, and they have to pass the bill. That's not going to happen. Most of the Congress does not support legislation for that. It's prohibitively expensive. There would be a backlash. It would be bad for our economy. So I don't see Donald Trump actually getting much accomplished. But what he does do, of course, is he helps grow the Libertarian Party by being an absolute tyrant as much as he can. So, take a look at my Twitter account. I want you guys to see what is going on. Let me drop you over there as well. Ching. There I am, guys. And if you're going to be all nasty in there, I'm going to block users, just so you know. I like to keep it nice and clean as much as possible in the live stream chats. That's why we get that's why we get the best CPMs, because we try and keep it as clean as possible. I sometimes have a potty mouth, but I try and keep it together just because it's better for advertisers, much more advertising friendly. But yeah, so this is my Twitter account. You guys can add me there. It's my user tag. Looks like if Trump wins, yeah, it's AP for LP forever. Yeah, AP, the number 4 LP. You guys can add me over there. Let's see what Gov Gary Johnson is tweeting tonight. Let's hope that it's something cool. Room is filling up. Getting ready for our big celebration tonight. Celebrating a big 3%, I guess. Getting ready to party in Albuquerque. Johnson Weld. Okay. Brandon Eaton from Dexter and American Sniper. That's kind of cool. All right, voted for Governor Gary Johnson. 5%, here we come. This was 6 hours ago. Things have changed quite a bit since then. Nothing too interesting going on. Let's see if Gov Bill Weld. Gov Bill Weld. Are you there, Bill? Let's see. Are you tweeting anything interesting tonight? America deserves better. Ba, 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 ba. He's doing some live event. Let's click on it, see what he's got over there. One person, one vote, 13 hours. So it looks like Governor Bill Weld tonight is being kind of quiet. Kind of quiet over there, guys. What's going on? Yeah, let's see. That was the live stream from there. That live stream is now over. Not a lot going on officially from the Twitter accounts from these guys. And, of course, the election results that we're seeing. Yeah, somebody says your response to the photo of the ballot, right? Because people were complaining, they were saying that it was illegal to take a picture of your ballot in Missouri. Well, the answer to that is actually quite unclear, and I looked that up before I did that today. And then somebody was like, Austin, this is unwise. You post a picture of your ballot. It's illegal. I'm like, well, crouch down and lick the hand that feeds you, you know, if you love tyranny. But so I said, call the cops, IDGAF. So anyways, but yeah, you know, we're trying to have some fun here. But, you know, the thing is, guys, again, I hate to be like a negative Nancy, but I'm always trying to find a silver lining in every cloud. If Governor Gary Johnson and Bill Weld don't get the 5%, then the truth is that we know that this was a failed strategy. This was the wrong strategy. Right? I want them to get the 5% because I want the 2020 candidate to have that. But if they don't get to 5%, I mean, it's not like we're going to, like, I don't want to say I told you so, but the whole point of this is that this was the best opportunity we ever had in Libertarian Party history. The best opportunity. Bob Barr could have done better than this right now. You know, the interesting thing was, I worked on the Bob Barr campaign. I called him the other day to ask him who he was voting for because I was feeling so conflicted after all the personal affronts and the blunders of the Johnson campaign. But I called Bob because I worked on his campaign. I learned a lot from him. And you know what was interesting about Bob Barr? But the thing that was right about Bob Barr, that I liked about Bob Barr, he actually became more libertarian during his campaign. Whereas with Johnson, it seems like he's always like stepping backward, like he's like him and Bill Weld were just running away from libertarian principles at like top speed as much as they could. I saw Bob Barr evolving on the campaign to be more libertarian, and we grew to be good friends, and I gained so much respect for him. And I can't say the same thing for Gary, because Gary seems to be getting less and less libertarian. We didn't need this. We needed to be as hardcore libertarian as possible to show the distinction between ourselves and the major party candidates. This was our year. We may never have another opportunity like this in a lifetime. And if it's Hillary Clinton that wins tonight, it will be harder for the Libertarian Party, especially because you may see another Rand Paul, you may see another Justin Amash. If Hillary, don't get me wrong, if Hillary loses and Rand and Justin run in the Republican Party, I'd love to see that. But here's the thing, guys. I don't think they can win in the Republican primary because there just aren't enough Libertarian Republicans to support for Libertarian Republicans. And I think Justin Amash is terrific. I want them to do as well as they possibly can. But the reality is that it's much harder for a Libertarian Republican to get nominated. It's harder for a Libertarian to get nominated in the Republican Party than it is in the Libertarian Party. As we've seen, it's hard enough for a Libertarian to get nominated in the Libertarian Party. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But much more so in the Republican Party. And we saw what they did to Ron Paul. We saw what they did to Gary Johnson in 2012 when he ran as a Republican. So there are real benefits and negatives to someone winning whoever wins the White House tonight. Trump would probably be the better one for the Libertarian Party just because I think that his insanity would probably be checked. I mean, he could theoretically be impeached. And same for Hillary Clinton. But the difference is that there would be no Libertarian Republican to run in 2020, clearing the path for a principled Libertarian candidate. Now, a lot of people have been asking me tonight, what can we do to get involved? Join the Libertarian Party. Join the party. Now, here's what's important. You need to become a delegate. You need to join the Libertarian Party, and in 2018, there will be, during the midterm elections, there will be a convention in New Orleans. During that convention, you will have a vote on party platform, procedures, and rules. That will set the rules for the 2020 convention, and that's important because when you set the rules for the 2020 convention, you can help affect the outcome. And the more we build up our local parties across the country between now and 2018, and then from 2018 to 2020, the more power we will have in the Libertarian Party to decide who the nominees will be. I don't necessarily care if it's not me, because again, I haven't decided if I'm running or not, but I do want to have a say in the outcome. I want to make sure that whoever that candidate is in 2020 is a strong Libertarian, because winning is one thing. But the point of a Libertarian Party presidential campaign is not just winning. Winning is important, but so is educating and activating. We want more people involved in our ideas. We want more people to know what our ideas are. That's why every time I do a live stream, I always talk about the ideas. So if you guys want to be a delegate, I see you guys are asking, go to lp.org and join the national. There's two parties to join. There's your state party and then there's your national party. Right? So join the national party and join your state party. Contact your state chair by going to your state party's webpage. Get involved. Join the party. Run for a leadership role. Run for vice chair. Run for chair. Serve as the secretary or the treasurer. Then that way, when you, in 2 years, you may be in a vice chair position, and then in 4 years, you may become the chair of the Libertarian Party in your state. Then you're going to decide who the delegates from your state will be. And then you get to bring the delegates to the next convention in 2020. You could decide who the candidate will be in 2020. So let's take a look at the presidential vote totals. Let's see, presidential vote totals. Gary Johnson, let's see how we're doing. Let's see if, right now, not looking good for Governor Gary Johnson on the national vote total. Again, this race is still too close to call, but it is trending heavily Trump. 49% right now, the national vote total, Trump, 47% Hillary Clinton, Gary Johnson, 43% reporting. This is a lot, although we have not seen, again, the heavily populous states like California come in yet, Oregon or Washington expected to lean Democratic. Let's take a look at the electoral votes. Right now, Trump, 140, 109. The orange-faced Cheeto man may become our next president. I would have never predicted it. Of course, I don't like making predictions anyway. People will always say, well, who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to win? Well, I thought that Hillary was going to win, but just because I thought that maybe the power of the establishment was too close. So Trump may have done us a grand favor by upending the establishment. But just know that when he is handed the ring of power, he will definitely use it. That's just what happens to people like that. He is as insider as it gets, especially when it comes to the media and his many fine hotels that he owns across the country. But won't it be fun to just see the liberals cry and squeal and cry? You know, because the funny thing is for all the accusations of me being a Hillary shill and stuff like that, just because I beat up on Donald, like I was never a shill for Hillary. I didn't want her to win, and I didn't want Trump to win. But I am going to laugh at all the butthurt that's going to come from the liberals and the Democrats and the socialists who have been just screaming and crying about how terrible Donald Trump was because he hurt their feelings. Well, good. Donald Trump is politically incorrect. Well, as horrible and awful and as xenophobic as much of his rhetoric has been, the social justice warriors and the social democrats have been terrible for years. So now you get your butts kicked and the pendulum swings the other way. And now look, liberals, you brought us Trump. Social justice warriors and the Democrats gave us Donald Trump. So if you're wondering just exactly who these stupid voters are that are voting for Donald Trump, just know you created them, okay? And a plague on both of their houses, let me just say, if I'm going to quote a little Shakespeare. But anyways, I got to take a little break. My voice is getting a little tired. I don't know how much longer I can stay with you guys tonight. It's already been an hour and 20 minutes of just full-blown talking. But I'm going to take a quick little break, guys. Go to the restroom. Don't forget, if you like my T-shirts, you can get those, the AP collection. I'm going to drop the link in the chat so you guys can see. You can get my shirt with my quote on it, as well as my hat, which is "Make taxation theft again." This will become even more relevant if Donald Trump becomes the next president of the United States, don't you think? So anyways, I'm going to take a little break, and here is the link to it. I love seeing your guys' chat. Don't forget to keep dropping questions in there, and I will keep coming back. You guys enjoy the live streams, and keep dropping them dank memes.
California, Hawaii, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, leaving only Alaska voters left. So we have a lot to talk about. Let's bring in Jennifer Lawless from American University. Let's dig into some of these key national exit polls, and let's stick to the Latino vote. In 2012, it looks like Barack Obama carried 71% of the Latino vote. The question is how it will turn this time around.
Right, and it seems at this point that Hillary Clinton is only garnering about 2/3 of the Latino vote. So she's underperforming relative to Barack Obama among a group that she really needs.
This race, I think, is taking a lot of people by surprise, frankly. I think they thought Hillary Clinton would carry it by now. I want to look at the women vote. Back in 2012, 55% of the women backed Barack Obama. What about now?
It looks like about 54 or 55%.
Really?
Yes. And so this is a situation where this assumption that Donald Trump was really pushing away female voters doesn't seem to have panned out, at least among Republicans. Democratic women are obviously going for Hillary Clinton, and independents might be breaking for her, but the Republican women are turning out for him.
And finally, there is one key group. I know we will be talking about this in the days and months ahead, and that's the education factor. How do you break that down? I see 50% of the college graduates went for Barack Obama, 51% even with no college degree went for Barack Obama last time. Obviously, this time, that's not happening.
That's not. Hillary Clinton is still winning among the college educated, about 51 or 52%, but those without a college education are breaking for Trump.
All right, so what's the one thing I think we need to keep in mind as far as votes that are still out? California, Florida, Pennsylvania, she needs a win. She needs several wins.
She needs several wins. Yes. New Hampshire would be nice for her. Virginia just helped, and I'm sure that breathed a little bit of enthusiasm into the campaign, but this is not the night that the Clinton campaign was expecting yet.
It's going to be a long night, isn't it? Thanks, Jennifer Lawless from American University. Thank you. And we will see you back here in 1 hour. Now back to New York and Lester Holt for more of Decision Night in America.
And as we come back from a break, we have a new projection. NBC News projects that Hillary Clinton will win in the state of Virginia, 13 electoral votes. Here's how it's shaking out right now. Clinton had it 47% over Trump. What does this mean to the electoral map? Let's take you down to the ice and see where things stand. Trump with 168. Clinton with 122 as our map begins to fill in. But there are some states in gray right there who are going to create a lot of upset stomachs and drama in both campaigns tonight. Let's go to Chuck Todd right now, who is with some of our pollsters to get a little read on what we're seeing here and how we got here.
I'm with Bill McInturff, Republican, Fred Yang, Democrat. These guys are the brains behind the NBC Wall Street Journal poll. So, Bill,
yes.
Obviously the battleground's much tighter than any of the polling showed, not just ours, all of the polling. Is this the result of a hidden Trump vote or us underestimating what rural America would do in turning out?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. It's not a shy vote. It's that Donald Trump has built a unique coalition. He's winning white non-college by literally the mid-30s, higher than Ronald Reagan in the year 1980, and those people are turning out. And it's aggregating. When you're winning the rural part by 30, 35 points, it's offsetting softer turnout in some of the core urban areas. I think that combination is pushing these states. And look, the other thing you want to remember is that Minnesota, Michigan, these are states that still retain a very high percentage of the white vote, very different than other parts of the country.
Fred, how would you answer that question?
I would say volatility. I think one of the interesting findings from the exit polls is among the people who decided in the last couple of days, they went for Trump by 5 points. And you say that's not a huge margin, but in a race like this, where small margins make a big difference in some of these battleground states, I think that, plus the fact that Clinton didn't perform as well with white college-educated voters as some of the...
All right, guys. Well, I'm back. So this is the final few minutes of my live stream. I definitely got to go. My voice is starting to blow out. And I want to be able to have time to talk to you guys tomorrow after the election about the future of the Libertarian Party, about the future of the Liberty Movement, because this is the real next phase. It's the new era starting tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and call it and project that Governor Gary Johnson will not receive 5% of the national vote, unfortunately, due to his polling, especially in the states where he was expected to do well, like New Mexico. At the moment, it is still not able to be called who the next president of the United States will be. Donald Trump has won Ohio. He is up in Florida. He's won Oklahoma. If I were to place money on it, it looks like Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. So he will make America great again by force. So, I don't agree with the policies. I'm with Ron Paul on this one. People are looking sad over at Hillary Clinton headquarters tonight. But I will project that Donald Trump will most likely be the next president of the United States. That's not set in stone. I'm going to still be hanging out tonight, but it's time for me to relax, have a glass of wine, and start to chill out. I've had a very long election year. I fought very hard for our cause, for our principles, at great personal risk and sacrifice. I've done everything I can to advance this cause. I'm sorry I couldn't be more successful for you all. I hope that you were proud of me as a Liberty champion. I know that I was very proud of you, for my supporters, the people who went out and did the hard work, the people who ran the hospitality suite, people like Risa, people like Grant Deltz, people like Angela Fiedner, people like Lauren Turner, the wonderful people who fought so hard and worked so hard. Gage Fenwick, Jeffrey Carson. Thank you, Laura Myers. Thank you, Joe Trotter. Thank you, Darlene Underwood. Thank you, Jess Mears. Thank you to all the wonderful people. And there's a whole long list of names of people who I really appreciate. Thank you so much for all your support, for everything that you did. Michael Kniebel, how could I forget? All of the wonderful people who worked so hard on my campaign. I really am very grateful for you. Sorry that I couldn't bring us victory this year, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stick around. So you all have a wonderful night, and